Okay, welcome to the Comp 1 Secret Messages Programming Exam Solution tutorial. We're going to look at encrypting some, or I should say hiding some text using Steganography. And basically what we're going to do is write to a file and simply write a hidden message within a wider text message. Usual assumptions, but the extra one is that you can already generate some random numbers, because that's what we're going to have to do to actually generate our extra text. We can't sort of somehow magically plan real words, so we're just going to whack in some random numbers. So here's what we're going to do. I'm doing this quite quickly because I actually don't think this is going to come up, but maybe some of the techniques that we use here will be there. So the basic gist is we're going to do the other usual thing where we add a case statement and a menu item. Let the user input plain text, and then we're going to insert n random characters between each character of the plain text. And we're going to do that with basically a set of nested for loops. And we're going to put those random characters in a separate function. And then we're simply going to concatenate all that and write it to a file. Rather than you see the coding appear, I'm just going to have it up and just talk you through it. So we'll zoom in a little bit to that. So this is my new case statement. I've called it O, and we're just using the usual system where basically I've getting a value for n, and hopefully you remember that you get value for n is in the decrypting or revealing steganography procedure. And then I've created a new procedure called write hidden message, and that's going to write hidden message to a file, and we're just sending it a plain text and n. So we're assuming the user has already got plain text entered in. So let's go to that definition. So this is what I've written so far. I've declared a new hidden message and initialized it. Also, I should say, obviously I've got the two parameters, plain text and n, that are being passed into it, and I've got my two for loops. This outer for loop here, we can see simply steps through each character of plain text. So it goes from the 0th character through to the length -1. So if I've got some plain text with 5 characters in, then the string array or character array that is the string would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore I'd need to go through from 0 through to 4, which is 1 minus the length. And all I do with this is take the hidden message and concatenate the current plain text character. So if it was hello world, it would put the letter H into there. The second time round, it would put the letter E. You get the idea. Now, in between doing each of those operations, I've got a second for loop which goes simply from J to n, where n is the number of random characters I want to put in, and it simply runs a concatenation where I call this generate random character. And that's probably the tricky bit, but for now let's just accept that I can generate a random character. This is a random character that gets stuck in there, and that runs n times. So if I've got set n to 3, then I stick 3 random characters in between each of the hidden characters. And then the final bit of it is that it opens a file and simply writes the hidden message to it using the print command. I could have used print line actually, but I've used print just to keep it simple. And obviously I close the file as well. And if you've seen my other pests, you've seen how to do that. There was a bit of me that wanted to use binary mode and write those generated characters to the file directly, because that's how they did it that's how they processed the file when they were unhiding the steganography. So, but this is easier. I can't believe they're going to be prescriptive about how you should write to a file. We really need to look at how to generate these random characters, because that's a possibility that might appear somewhere. So here's my random character generating program or procedure. I've decided to create a integer and a character variable, and all that character variable does is take the random number and use the char function to turn an ASCII code into the ASCII character, and then we're just going to return it. So let's see what random number we're actually going to generate. There are several ways of generating random numbers in VB.NET. This is the way I do it. RND generates a random number between 0 and 1. So if I was simply to multiply it by 26, I would generate a number between 0 and 26. To make it easier, what I'll do is use this math.ceilings, which is round up, basically, and that will generate a number between 1 and 26, which is really nice. As lowercase character in ASCII is 98, if I add 97 to that, I will now generate a number between 98 and 124, which, or I've written 97 and 123 in the comments, which correspond to the ASCII codes for the lowercase characters A through to Z. So basically, this produces an ASCII code, a random ASCII code between A and Z. Pass that, or not pass it, sorry. Yeah, I suppose. Use that here, which is passed into this function, which returns the appropriate ASCII character, and then I'll simply return that. Have a little play with that. Make sure you know how to generate random numbers. It is on the spec. It's not been specifically mentioned anywhere in the pre-release, but you know, they don't have to. Just nice of them to. And that's it, really. I suppose I ought to run it just so you believe me. So let's run it. Let's put in some plain text. Hello world. Let's go O, and let's have 5 bump. And if I now go to my folder, you see I've got this hidden message file that's been created, and I go to it, and oh dear, it looks like I've accidentally slipped over to some characters that aren't A to Z. Boom. I'll just pause this for a second. Alright, I'm terribly sorry. I've just worked out what I've done, a bit of muppet. My comments were right. It's this. That should be 96. So let's just change that to 96. And let's run it again. And go A. And then go O, 5, bosh, and now if we have a little look, actually I will just quickly delete that, yes, O, 5, okay, let's see what happens. Yep, and you can see that I've got the right characters here, and if we just quickly step through it, that's the first character, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next character is E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next character is O, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next character is O, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next characters, you get the idea. So there was hello, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next character is space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, next character is O, and of course, in fact, we could use the, we could have used the decryption or revealing steganography program to actually reveal that. So don't think that's likely to come up, but you can see it there now. I'll put that code on my paste bin as well so you can have a quick play with it. And I hope you found that useful.